What is going on, guys, and welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're going to be doing another tier list. We usually just do these about once a month. So today we just got done finishing Psychonauts just the other day. So we have the world fresh on our mind. So I figured, like what I usually do after I finish a series, is go ahead and rate the worlds or the characters and bosses, whatever there is in the game. We're going to pretty much put them in a tier list, give my thoughts about them, and see where I think they stack up in my personal mind and whatever. But we just finished Psychonauts, like I said, the first one. So we're gonna go over all 10 worlds and see what I thought about each one. I do have some pretty strong opinions about certain worlds. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video as always, and we'll go ahead and get started. So here we are on the tier list. We have 5 tiers, which is pretty simple, but that's really all we need. I mean, I usually like to have an F tier. So I guess I'll go ahead and add an F tier. I like to have an F tier below D. Okay, and put this at, I usually like have 7 tiers, but this is fine. C is like kind of like the middle anyway. Like good, very good, spectacular. Okay. So first we're going to start Sasha's Shooting Gallery, which is the first level in the game. Very simple, but basically is a tutorial for how the rest of the game is going to go. So it's like you're in this little cube thing, you're on this little cube thing. It has a weird kind of like, God, what was what it has like a weird camera or whatever. Perspective is what I was trying to get to. It has a weird perspective, like how you're going around this cube, but basically you're going through Sasha's mind. You overload the little thing and it goes crazy, and you have to help Sasha get his mind under control with the sensors. And it's basically like a tutorial for the mental, marksman badge or whatever. So you're just using that to shoot the enemies. You can melee them too, and it's honestly a pretty simple and easy world compared to a lot of the other ones. It's just basically a tutorial for the rest of the game, and you'll be getting more badges and stuff, but you pretty much always use the badge you get for this level, which is the marksmanship badge, because that shit is like probably the best way to kill the majority of enemies except for bosses. Because a lot of the time, I know I'm saying a boss tier list, but a lot of the time, they really like using telekinesis for bosses, especially later in the game. So there's no boss on this. Well, yeah, there is. There's a boss. There's a really big sensor they fight. I think it's a pretty simple boss fight. You just shoot it a bunch of times and it dies. I don't think there's anything unique. There's no gimmick really to it. So I'd say this is simple enough. It should be on right in the middle of the road, C tier. Next up is Waterloo, which is in Napoleon's like great grandson's mind when you go to the insane asylum. So pretty late into the game. It depends. You can do this right before the end game area if you do it last, because like the last 3 mines of the game you can do in any order you want. But if you're going by like the entrance of the mental asylum, then this would be the second one you go into. And basically all you're doing is helping Napoleon's great grandson defeat him in a little game of war here. And you have to go from each section trying to get peasants. So you gotta do a carpenter, and you gotta kill sensors on top of his roof. It really frustrated me because for some reason, I know it's not like this level in particular that had this happening all the time, but for this level in particular, I had a lot of hard times like grabbing onto ledges and like staying on little tight ropes. For some reason, Raz just kept on wanting to fall down. It pissed me off a lot during my playthrough of the game that I did recently. Honestly, I really struggled with this area, or just this, not the mine, but the insane asylum in particular, because I thought it was a level and not just in the real world, like the open world, which it's kind of not really an open world, but it kind of is. And I didn't know that I had to enter their mind. I just want to put that out there because that really frustrated me in my playthrough, if you watched it. But Waterloo, it's a pretty decent level. I think it's pretty cool. You move pieces and you gotta convince the peasants by doing other stuff. I think the way you get the gold coin for the second one was kind of dumb. I mean, why would you? So you gotta set fire to a fire to make the fire go out, or not. It doesn't even go out. It just, I guess, doesn't hurt you now. That really got on my nerves because I was like, how the fuck am I even supposed to know I was going to do that? I just did that shit randomly and it somehow worked. I had no clue how to get the coin. And then they get the final area where you have to convince another peasant to, you have to get his musket. That one in particular had me stumped a lot. Like this whole level had me stumped a lot of the time because I really didn't understand how to get into that tower until like for a while. It just took me a lot of time. But yeah, for Waterloo, I mean, after that you kill the last soldier guarding the thing, and you get the knight. And you have to collect snails, which I had no fucking clue that was what I was supposed to do. I was literally just doing that shit randomly, collecting snails in that little garden area. I had no fucking clue that after I collected all the snails, I could feed it to the knight and he would finally come out. I had no fucking clue. Did that shit on complete accident. But for but you put the knight on the final piece and you win the level. As simple as that. There's no bosses, I think, in this entire. Yeah, there's no boss in this entire world, so I'd put it just above Sasha's shooting gallery and B tier. Then we got basic braining, which is actually before. So this is a tutorial. This is really the tutorial of the game, the basic braining, which is what you do immediately once you start the game. After the cutscene, you go to Coach Oleander, and he does the basic braining, which just takes it, which just explains mental cobwebs, emotional baggage, figments, and the platforming aspects of the game. I don't think you get any badges for completing this, but the whole thing is like you are just parkouring through the entire world. It does look kind of cool because like a battlefield, and there's like meat and shit. I think in this one there's a lot of meat, and yeah, it's pretty cool. Honestly, I put this in B tier above. No, I don't think it's A tier. Not quite yet. So next we got this is the Black Velvet level, which honestly had me frustrated a lot of time too, because the bull El Odio was really fucking annoying during the town sections where you're trying to get all the cards. But basically the whole thing is you're trying to help this guy grab all the cards so he can build a tower up to his ex-girlfriend, which you figure out was a cheerleader that I guess split up with him to date another cheerleader or something. And he was like a wrestler, and you got to fight different wrestlers, which is super cool. I really like the fights in the world because they were really fun, and each of the little wrestlers had their unique, not only like unique intros and stuff, but they had unique moves, and you had to counter them in various ways. I think you get ability here. Yeah, you get confusion towards the end because you got to choose the bull to get an advertisement up for the Matador, and he gives you you have these confusion to confuse the bull, Elodio, so you can pay the advertisement. You can get like, I think like an astral projection or something from it. So that's pretty cool. But I think the world aesthetically is probably one of the best, if not the best world in the game. Like, it is so colorful. Even Raz looks different in the world in his mind. So it was really super cool. I think it really carries the level because everything else is kind of mid at best, in my opinion. But the final boss fight had me struggling a lot because I didn't realize. I knew you were supposed to throw the spears into him, but for some reason, specifically in the second half of the fight, where you figure out El Odio is the painter or whatever, I can't remember his name. I'm bad at names, okay? But you gotta take these spikes out and throw it into their guy. I could not figure that out for the longest time because when I first tried it, because I was like, that was my figure. It's like, oh, I gotta take the little spears or whatever out of them. No, man, like Raz kept telling me that he couldn't get a good grip, and I was like, okay, maybe that's not what I'm supposed to do. So I tried everything in my fucking bag. I finally used confusion. I'm like, all right, now what am I supposed to do? I try hitting him, he just teleports away. And then it wasn't until like my third attempt on the boss where I finally was able to take the freaking spears out, and I was like, okay, let me throw it at him because he said like he has the same weaknesses, and it worked. After that, it was super easy, but I literally knew what I was supposed to do in the first attempt. It just didn't fucking work, which really had me frustrated. There were some kinks in this game that really frustrated me at times. So, you know, hey, that was what you will. I understand it's an old game that came out in like 2007, but it still annoyed me a little bit. I ain't gonna lie. But Overall, this world was super good. The boss fight was okay, but the fights up to it, all the wrestlers and stuff was cool. The world was okay, but the aesthetics of it was literally the best in the game. Honestly, I'd say this is probably like A tier, just in my opinion. This, I'm guessing, is the Brain Tumbler experiment, which I don't think there was a whole lot going on in this one. So before you go in there, you can't fight them, and then you do Sasha's. So this is the second world you do in, because you do the Brain Tumbler experiment, and then Sasha takes you into his mind, where you do his shooting gallery. And you go in this one, you get scared, whatever, and then you go Sasha's mind, the shooting gallery, and you go up that tower after when you come back from Sasha's shooting gallery, and you find Dr. Lobato taking someone's brain out. And I think that's literally the end of it. You never go back to the level again. Honestly, I think it's the first detail. There's literally nothing going on. This shouldn't even be a level. I wouldn't even consider this to be a level, to be honest. It's just, there's literally just nothing going on. Actually, no, you go back a third time, because you go up the tower, you're blocked off, and then you have to go into her world, the dance party, and learn levitation. But that's at the end anyway, and of the tier list. But that's like the fourth level you go to after we have to get your boating license, which I don't remember how to get that. Anyway, yep. Moving on, we got Glorious Theater, which was probably the funniest, probably the second funniest world in the game. Wasn't like really aesthetically pleasing. I think the enemies during the evil, like the sad, like tragic, because there's like, I forgot the two emotions. It's like there's happy and there's tragedy, or whatever. But you said to the tragedy, and the fucking all the enemies are hostile, and the freaking dog set me on fire so many freaking times, dude. That had me so angry all the time, just navigating through the stage pieces. And I didn't even know you could kill them at first until I tried, and then it wasn't as bad, but it still really sucked. After that, you just going through stages, trying to figure out the puzzles and what setting to use, either happy or sad, whatever. You eventually, because the whole point of the thing is Gloria can't perform because there's a spirit that keeps interrupting the play every time she's on there, and then there's a critic that keeps bashing her. So then you finally make it up to the top of the scaffolding, and you find out that the Phantom, is what it's called, the Phantom. You figure out the Phantom is actually the critic himself, and then you call him out on it, and then is the boss fight, which the boss fight, it's a gimmick fight, which a lot of these are throughout the entirety of the, hold on, I lost my train of thought. You fight him by using the candle lights to shine light onto him. He crashes down, and then that's the only time you can do damage. But when he crashes down, it's on a timer for one, and for two, after you get through more and more, because he destroys the candles, and once you're on the last one, he spawns in a bunch of enemies that you pretty much just have to completely ignore. But the bats are super annoying because they can hit you, and then dogs can set you on fire. So you gotta completely ignore and avoid them to do damage to the critic so he dies. So it's on a timer. It's not like based on how much damage you do. It's on a timer. So you only have a certain amount of time to do damage. So you cannot just outright focus on the ads. Basically, you have to do as much damage in as short amount of time as possible to take down the critic. You cannot focus on the ads. And the ads in this level are probably the worst. Like the enemies in this level are probably the worst out of any level in the game. And I pretty much stand by that, to be honest, because they are just super, super annoying. That really just holds back the entire level. Everything else I like about it, just not the enemies, which honestly makes me want to put it into the C tier. Either C or bottom of B. I'd say bottom of B. I think it is quite a bit better than Sasha's shooting gallery, since this is a tutorial, but I'm actually pretty sure that this is the underwater section where you fight the boss. Isn't it? Doesn't seem like the coral and shit. If it's the underwater world where you fight the lungfish, I don't think you went down there other than to fight the lungfish itself. I'm just gonna replace that with the Blame Tumblr experiment. My opinion stands. All right, now we have, and what my opinion is, spoiler alert, but we only have 3 levels after this anyway. This is my favorite level in the game. I feel like that's pretty cold take for Psychonauts 1. That Lungfishopolis is probably a lot of people's favorite world. Definitely my favorite. It's the funniest. It's not really the most aesthetically pleasing one, but it is really cool looking. And you just basically gotta destroy the entire military, break out this resistance that's resisting Coach Amro, which is the Coach Oleander, because he turned the Lungfish into the monster it is by messing with the brain or some shit. I don't really know, but you're leading resistance in the Lungfish's mind to fight Coach and find like different tanks and stuff. The tanks aren't really that bad, but they can be a little annoying if there's a bunch of them. But overall, they're pretty easy enemies to fight. They die in 1 hit. I think there are also sensors at some point, but I might be wrong on that. It's kind of annoying to scale some of the skyscrapers because there are some items up there I think you need. I know there's some like suitcase tags and astral projection stuff with all the skyscrapers. That's really hard to see if you're not looking and just climbing them. And probably my least favorite part of the whole entire level is the plane section, where you have to just basically sit there and shield up against the planes. And I'm pretty sure this is where you get the shield badge. I mean, it's probably one of the more useful badges in the entire game. It's really useful, especially later in the game. And I think it's pretty much like, I'm pretty sure you have to have it for a lot of the other bosses, but I think it's one of the more useful ones. But it ends in a final boss fight against Coach, and it's a pretty basic one where you're just using the shield to block his attacks. He gets, stunned by it, and then you just melee him, and then he flies in the air, shoots a beam at you. You use the shield to reflect the beam back at him, does damage, and you win. I mean, it took me like 2 attempts to do it because I died the first time because I wasn't using a shield because I just forgot I had it. But pretty much after this level, you're using the shield throughout the entire rest of the game, and it's, like I said, it really helps. So anyway, this is going into S tier. I think it's the best level in the game. Next up, on the complete opposite of the spectrum, unfortunately, this was the last level of the game. This was the Meat Circus, which is after like kind of like the final boss fight against Coach. You put his brain into a tank. You bust open the tank using telekinesis, because for some reason at the end of the game they just love making you use telekinesis. And you go in his brain, and you're seeing like little Ollie. And the first part of it, you have to catch the bunny for little Ollie. He flies to different sections of the circus. If you watch my series, you know how much that frustrated me, because for a lot of the parts, I just couldn't climb them. For some reason, I'd just fall straight to the bottom. And I just didn't understand it at all. I didn't realize you had to catch the bunny. So I had to talk to Crawler in order to figure out that I had to catch the bunny for him using telekinesis or confusion. So I just used telekinesis. Then it made it pretty easy after that. After that, it was really easy because I'd made the obstacle course so many fucking times trying to figure out, because I thought I just had to go to the top and move on to the next section, or find a way to keep the bad bunnies from spawning through the little grinder thing, which I could never figure out. When I finally figured out, I have to grab the bunny so I can catch it. And that was pretty much the entire level, that section of level. But then you go through like a little roller coaster, and then you go to the next section, which is where you fight the butcher guy, Coach Oleander's father. And it took me a while to figure out. It actually took Crawler telling me again, just during the fight, that I had to climb up his arm, because I just didn't know what to do. I tried everything, confusion, everything. I was like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? You're supposed to like block his attacks using the shield, and then once he does the slam and gets his fucking, what are those called? Whatever, butcher knife. You slam it down, and you climb up his arm and punch him in the face. You have to do like 3 times, and he sends you out, and you have to fight your father, which is probably another super annoying part of the freaking. Cause I just suck at platforming, so it kind of makes sense why these levels have fucking sucked for me. But then you fight your father, or what you're projecting your father is, and you have to beat the water coming up, and he'll throw like different like bowling pin things at you that he's juggling. But the hardest part about it is just doing the jumps and stuff and the platforming crap, because I just suck at platforming in this game. And there's a lot of times where I was just getting stuck or just not grabbing on the shit like I did in the Waterloo level. I mean, and then the water would get me, and luckily it didn't do any damage or lose your life, because I'd be able to get knocked out of the freaking mines if I did that shit. But if that could even happen, we're going back to the beginning of the level. I don't know what happened in Coach's mind at this point in the game. But yeah, it was, I kept fucking up the jump, especially the little metal bar section where there's like flames on it, and you have to jump like to the side and then grab onto the other one. Dude, that final one just fucked me so many times. I don't know what to say. And then you have to float with levitation down while you're getting thrown bowling pins. I think that's the end. And then there's another part of the boss fight against Oleander's father, where you have to throw the bowling pins that Raz's father throws and throw it at his legs to get him stuck. And then I literally knew how to do that immediately. Use telekinesis to throw the pins at the butcher. But for some reason, it just didn't fucking work half the time until I freaking died. And then it worked perfectly fine, which was super annoying again. And then after that, your actual father comes out, and then you fight the combination of what your mom perceives your father and Coach Oleander's father, which is a really easy fight. All you have to do is, because he does the same attack over and over again, and all you have to do is use your shield and then wait for your power to come back and beat the fuck out of him like 3 or 4 times. Super easy boss fight compared to a lot of the other ones in the game. But honestly, F tier. This was my least favorite level in the game. Fucking couldn't stand it. I couldn't stand the platforming. I couldn't stand... The boss fights were okay at best, but the last one was super disappointing because all you do is wait for your power up to come up and block when your power up is not on. So I really did not like the Meat Circus level at all. It was a cool ending to the game, but it's kind of cool to see why Coach Oleander was the way he was, which wasn't because of himself and personally. He's like had his mind fucked up or something. I think that's what they said at the end of the game, but it was just a super annoying level. It was a disappointing end to the game, I think. Our next up is the Milkman Conspiracy, which I kind of feel like I'm going to grade it a bit harshly because of just like I didn't understand. Let me just say this. I didn't understand when I came into his mind, even though it told me that his mind had a lot of mental cobwebs. I didn't know I needed it. I didn't know I needed a cobweb duster. So I spent like 2.5, maybe 3 hours in this level trying to figure out what to do. Because I couldn't find the plunger to go down into the sewers. And the plunger was in the bathroom. Like, I've been everywhere. I know how to get the code. I know how to get into, like, the little freaking post office. But in the bathroom of the post office, there's blocked by a metal cobweb that I thought I didn't need to take down. So I had to look. This was the only level I had to look up a tutorial on how to finish it. And it turned out that I obviously needed a cobweb duster. So I had to go back into the game, into the campsite, open area, and get a, what is it called? The little things that suck up the gray arrowheads. I had to do that for like 30 minutes. It wasn't even like 30 minutes, like 20 minutes. It wasn't really hard to get enough arrowheads, but it kind of annoys me that you can't beat the game without the cobweb duster because of that. I feel like that's really annoying. It really made me upset. Which kind of hurts the level because other than that, the level's pretty good, but just that really lowers it for me because it was so frustrating. I still think it's dumb. In the sniper area, I could not figure that shit out. I think I just had to use a shield, I think. But I tried turning invisible. I don't see how the fuck it saw me when I was invisible. But it did. And I don't understand. I think I had to use a shield or whatever. But there's a lot of things. There's a lot of puzzles in this one that I just could not figure out at all. So it really annoyed me. I'm going to put this in D tier. I know it's a pretty harsh rating, but honestly, I just did not like this level. It was really disappointing for me. I wish I liked it more. Maybe in future playthroughs, since I know what I'm supposed to do, I'd probably have a lot better time with it, but playing it for the first time was super frustrating. That finally is, I forgot her name, but this is where you learn levitation. Really cool little level. She could be really annoying at times and almost feel like she had I didn't even want to say it. But it was kind of cool to look at the mental vault and see her past, which was kind of like really sad and brutal. But levitation is probably another one of the most useful skills in the game because it can get you up to places that you usually couldn't go to by just double jumping, and you move faster with it too. And having the ability to kind of like glide with the ball or whatever was really useful throughout the entirety of the game. It ends off with a race where you race everybody and you gotta win, and then you get your little badge. But it's like a little dance party, kind of cool vibes, really colorful. None of the puzzles or obstacle courses or platforming is really that difficult. It is overall a good time, and you get the one of the more useful badges in the game. I really don't have much to say about this one. I think the like her in general is kind of annoying. And it's still like early in the game where like that one dude, I forgot his name, was just like fucking with you the whole time. Pretty much after this, he doesn't fuck you with you again, but he kind of fucks with you at this point in the game. It's kind of annoying to deal with him and the other kids because they're just retarded. But can I even say that? I'm gonna say it anyway. Anyway, putting us into the tier list, we're gonna put this on C tier, just above Sasha's shooting gallery. Here we go. This is the tier list. I know I was a little bit harsh on the Meat Circus and the Milkman conspiracy, but I feel like this overall is all the levels were pretty freaking good. Honestly, just a few issues made them drop a little bit down. I'm sure in future playthroughs there probably will be no Fs, maybe no Ds. I don't know, but in my first playthrough, this is just my opinion on what I thought about each level in the game. But all of them were pretty good. This game felt really fresh and unique. I explained that at the end of my final episode of the game. This was one of the more unique and fresh feeling games I ever played. I'm just not good at platformers. I don't play platformers, so I had a lot of frustrating experiences. I feel like some of the puzzles and the boss fights were kind of annoying. I don't like gimmick fights, and pretty much all of them were gimmick fights, though they were pretty well thought out gimmick fights. I'll give it that, but overall, this game was really good, but some of the levels really disappointed me in a lot of ways. But when we still had to play Psychonauts 2, I'll probably have better opinions about the second game, since a lot of the issues I had in the first game will probably be fixed, because this will be a lot more recent. And I hope it's really good. I'll be playing that soon. But anyway, guys, this is my tier list. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. And I'll see you guys in another one. Peace.